everybody, and welcome to the Boopcast number 24. Why is the intro music playing twice? That's weird. Oh, because its stream is not muted in the background.
I was going to say, do you have the Twitch open?
We are your hosts, SheNoob and...
Cory.
I pointed the right way this time. And this week we have our lovely ladies on, Hannah Galbraith and Laurelei Lee.
Hi.
So, for those watching who may not know who you girls are, starting with Hannah, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourselves and how you got into RWBY?
I think I'm most known in the Rooster Teeth community for surviving the tragic car accident of RTX 2015. I honestly got into RWBY, I think browsing YouTube back when I was a senior in high school, and found Achievement Hunter and RWBY at the same time, realized they were connected, and then I just fell into everything.
Yep. And Laurelei, what about you?
I am a reactor on YouTube, and the first show I ever did was RWBY, and I've been watching that since the middle of Volume 3 when my sister taught me into watching it, and since then I have far surpassed her as the RWBY fan in the household, so now I'm into all things Rooster Teeth.
Nice.
I also just realized I forgot to clarify. I think I started becoming a fan, I think, right after the first episode of RWBY came out.
Awesome. So we have these ladies here with us today to talk about Chapter 9 of RWBY Volume 5. Now, I do want to say before we get started, that this chapter... Everybody's seen it, right? I forgot to ask you guys that before we started.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course. Okay. Hello, Gilda. Welcome. This chapter was not great. Let's just put it that way. The general consensus is that most people are disappointed with the chapter, myself included. So we're probably gonna struggle a little bit to talk too much about the chapter, but we'll do our best here. We'll just run this the way we normally run it, and we'll see what happens. The biggest problem is there wasn't a lot of substance in this chapter, so we are going to... What was disappointing about it? Cinder, did you watch the chapter?
Oh no.
We'll just start at the beginning anyway, as we usually do. So Cory's got notes and I don't. So take it away.
Well, actually, I just noticed I forgot to change the batteries in my headphones before we started, so I have to do that real quick.
Okay, well, immediately off to a great start. Well, Cinder, you would be one of the few people who actually enjoyed it. I did not. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna explain why I didn't like the chapter. Gilda, thank you for following. I didn't like the chapter because after last week they sort of set up this big something huge was gonna happen with the Blake storyline and then we get to this chapter, we get a literally 10-minute long talking scene with Raven and Cinder and extras. The whole time of which I was so stressed out, I could barely even, absorb what they were saying. And then when we did get back to the Belladonnas, nothing happened. And not only that, but what they did show, I felt was kind of poorly animated in comparison to what we'd seen in the volume already, as far as action was concerned. And I just, at the end of the episode... I felt really let down, that they had the previous week built up, done all this build up and cut it off right in the middle of the action, and this week I was just expecting a lot more than what we got. Instead, they've chosen to end it on another cliffhanger and drag it out for another week, and I feel like they've got 2 extra chapters this volume, and they just wasted chapter 9. So, I'm like, you could have had 13 chapters and just not done that. But, I was just disappointed with it, because I felt like instead of the payoff that we were all expecting, there was more build up to yet another cliffhanger. And I understand that ending the show on cliffhangers makes you want to watch the next week, but when they do 3 in a row, it gets to the point where you're just sick of it and you just want them to put you out of your misery, which is kind of how I feel about the Belladonna story, because we all know what's about to happen. So it's not like it's going to be a huge surprise when it does happen. So I don't understand why they insist on dragging it out so much and just like making me be so stressed week to week. And like I'm just not impressed about the whole thing. So hopefully chapter 10, I'm expecting huge payoff with chapter 10 with the with Blake versus Ilya, and then what's going on with Sun and Gira, and where the heck Carly disappeared to. Yeah, but Volume 4 never did 3 cliffhangers in a row, to be fair to Volume 4. So,
yeah. Plus, I think part of the reason we didn't like it is you and I both found the cliffhanger at the end of Chapter 8 to be a little bit, like, we thought it was weird.
Abrupt.
Just, like...
Very abrupt.
Abrupt, in the... And, I mean, and not just that it was a cliffhanger, but then... I don't know, just the way that ended, and then the next scene we saw, I really feel like they could have just used, like, they could have taken the 2, like, Belladonna bits from both of those episodes and, like, put them into one episode.
Yeah.
And, like, that Gira cliffhanger would have worked better as a scene cut rather than an episode end, I think.
Yeah.
And so that's why it feels so, like, you know, kind of like, about the whole Belladonna part in this, is because it's like, it felt like a continuation of the last episode, but in its own episode.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah,
I know.
Sam says chapter 6 through 11 were all Ranger cliffhangers. Yeah, not to the same degree that we've had the last 3 weeks in Volume 5. Like we were just talking about, the Gira one was so abrupt it was jarring. And then with this week, excuse me, I'm gonna hiccup. This week, it was just all of this build up to 0 payoff. And then, like, I know next chapter we're supposedly getting the payoff, but I'm like, at this point, they've made me wait 2 weeks. It better be awesome or I'm not gonna be impressed. Like, yeah, I just feel like, with everything that's going on in the volume, they needed to be especially careful this volume with what they gave screen time. And I feel like chapter 9, everything they gave screen time was not essential at all. The bit at the bandit camp, I didn't think we were even going to get to see that, so it was surprising to see it. But the fact that it went for 10 minutes was unnecessary. It was way too long. I was just, by the I was like sitting here like, oh my god, when are they going to stop talking? I need to know what's going on with Gira right now. But, no, I did not like the Gira cliffhanger with the roaring at all. It was just so sudden. Like, he was roaring and then, like, episode's over. I'm like, what the frickin' hell? What just happened? But yeah, no, we'll talk about that a bit later. But, to the episode at hand, like I mentioned, starts off in the bandit camp. Yay, more Raven.
Yeah, you really hate Raven.
I forever have this bias towards loving Raven.
I am just so over all the Raven this volume. I'm like, Raven can just go away. I don't need it. And I didn't think it was possible for me to hate Raven more than I do, but after this scene, I definitely hated her more than I did.
Oh, yeah.
Hearing what she was
I'll
saying.
admit I'm disappointed in her. I mean, I feel like I'm physically incapable of hating her because of my connections, but I'm a little disappointed. Like, I remember talking with with my cousin and her son, who are both also clearly into RWBY, and they all both watch it just to see how Raven is, and they're disappointed in Raven, and it's just like now I completely understand. I'm just like, yeah, I'm disappointed in Raven too. It's like I love you, I still love you. You're a bad girl, but I still love you.
Yeah, Raven.
I just find her so confusing. Like with everything in this scene, like that we see of her is, you know, I mean, I'm jumping ahead, but with the whole like she wants her brother dead thing, and then Vernal brings up, hey, your daughter's gonna be there, and then just
Laurelei is not impressed because Crow is her favorite character, and that is the character that is around her face at the moment. So
Crow is my baby. When she said that, I got so angry.
So did I. I was filming my reaction, obviously, but when she said, I want my brother dead, I think I just went, I beg your pardon? It's like, I was not impressed. I just kept repeating that. I was like, I can't believe she just said that. What a bitch.
I just feel because of everything, I highly doubt they're actually gonna off Crow.
No.
Because it's Crow.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
they won't do it.
I feel like because they've set it up, they're not gonna do it.
Yeah.
I feel like when Crow dies, it will be a sudden thing. Not necessarily sudden, but and also an event later in the episode leads me to believe that that's not going to happen. But I'm like, what exactly is Raven playing at? Like, what's her angle here? I feel like is so backed into a corner by her situation that she's just kind of grasping at any straws she can, and throwing out this curveball of, I want you to kill Crow. Which did actually surprise them. I feel like, yeah, she's been backed into a corner. She's not really sure how to twist the situation to her advantage. Yeah, so...
Especially because she mentions that she just wants to be left alone. But like they point out, you still by involving a maiden, you involved yourself, like... You know, you just saw the power, and now by involving a maiden, you've involved yourself in something you didn't want any part of.
Exactly. Raven's a huge hypocrite because she talks about, like, she spoke to Crow last volume, and he was all like, you should come back, we need to work together to fight her, and she's like, she makes it very clear that she doesn't want to be involved, but she's harboring a fucking maiden. Like, you're involved, love. Newsflash, you're involved.
Part of me wants to believe that she doesn't actually want to kill Crow, and she was literally just telling them that just to throw them off.
I think that is actually the case.
I think that's the case as well, but it is still just a thing where it's all very confusing. I'm very confused by Raven in this whole thing.
I can't work out Raven at all. I don't understand her motives, and I feel like she doesn't know what her frickin' motives are, is half the problem. So, I feel like
she has really screwed up priorities.
Yeah, I feel like she's extremely conflicted. And I'm conflicted in, like, I'm just like, every time she says something, I'm like, you just don't make any sense to me. I feel like she comes across as cool, calm, and calculated, but she's actually quite an emotional person and emotionally driven. And yeah, I see somebody mentioned there about the helmet. Yeah, so I mean, it seems to me like that helmet, as she calls it, I thought it was more of a mask, but she kind of hides behind it in this scene, which is interesting, because I don't see what the point would be of her trying to, like, conceal her identity. I feel like she's using it to try and intimidate them.
That's what I was thinking. Like, it's not necessarily to hide exactly who she is, because I think she does know that they already know who she is. But I feel like it's an intimidation factor. It's just like you don't scare me. Like, I'm tough and you don't scare me.
I'm also like, where is the rest of the band at camp while this is... Oh, she told them to pack up, that's right. I didn't take notes, so I'm not remembering everything that's said. Yeah, so I'm not sure what good she thinks moving her camp will do either. It's a bit late for that, but yeah, so I just can't figure her out. As a person, as a character, I don't understand why she does the things she does. I don't understand her motivations. Like, she says she doesn't want to be involved, but she's harboring the Spring Maiden, so, like, she's gonna be involved eventually. And now she's most definitely involved.
And even, like, back in Volume 4, she asked about the relic at Beacon. Like, she was checking on that. Like, she says she doesn't want to be involved, but she's still like, but is everything good? But is everything good?
Yeah.
So she's just this weird contradiction.
It's like, either you're in or you're out, bitch. Make up your mind.
Yeah.
But I just can't work her out. I found Cinder interesting in this scene, actually. Because she seemed a lot more like the old Cinder. But Watt said something interesting to her, which was, if you think I'm going to put my life at risk because of your stupid grudge with a child, or something similar along those lines. I feel like that is probably most of the reason that she so desperately wants to be there when Haven falls, is because she wants revenge on Ruby, which could be extremely dangerous for Ruby. Raven feels like... Yeah, William says Raven feels like she wants to be out by being in. Exactly. Sorry, what were you saying, Laurelei?
Oh, just Cinder in this episode was really fascinating to me because, like you said, she's acting like she's back on top and everything. She's like her old self, but she's just so petty. She's a very petty character. Petty. And she's like a whiny little teenager that thinks that because she's got power, she's on top of the world, but she is very much not in control in this situation anymore. No. She's got Salem on top of her, and Watts had to say, look, you need to put your petty grudges aside. There are bigger things at play in here, and you don't matter. And
I really hope, if we get to the fall of Haven, and I hope that Cinder just guffs it up really bad. I kind of just really want to see her do that.
That kind of reminds me, I kind of am curious to see, if we can go back to the Silver Eyes, since that's what sort of screwed her up in the first place, if that's ever going to come back. I mean, clearly it has to come back over the course of the series, but if Ruby could tap into that again and figure out a way to do it actually and be in control of that'd actually be great.
Yeah. Oh, to jump back, that's a good point. Raven called Watts a disgraced Atlesian scientist, which is an interesting piece of information about him. So he's from Atlas.
Yeah.
We knew that he was some kind of sciencey person, but he does say that he was a doctor. Doctor of what? We don't know, but doctor of what? I made a pun.
Well, also we got the information later from Cinder that he should just go back to his workshop and tinker with his machines. So it now makes me think. We were talking earlier this volume about the whole Tyrion needs a new tail thing, and we all suspected kind of a robotic prosthetic, but I brought up other possibilities. But now I'm beginning to think it probably is just like a robot prosthetic.
Sounds
if he's like tinkers with machines.
And he's Atlesian as well, so he would be familiar with that kind of those kinds of what's the word I want?
Prosthetics.
Prosthetics, thank you. You just said it, and I couldn't remember it. Yeah, so, or gene splicing. Yeah, I don't know about that, but...
we haven't really seen any evidence of that in the show, is the thing.
Sam says, I think he somewhat helped with Penny's creation. That's how Cinder found out. No, Cinder found out because she hacked into General Ironwood's scroll. That's how she found out.
Yeah.
They showed us that in Volume 3.
Technically, Watts did help with that because he was the one that made the virus.
It's true, yeah. It has his symbol on it. And I love how they introduce these characters volumes before they're actually going to show up. I love the way that, they just... By putting that W on the program, and then later showing us that W again in association with Watts, We just make the connections on our own. But
I never actually noticed that before.
Yeah. So the line that Cinder has there is thanks to our clever little friend, and we think she's talking about like the bug or whatever that she placed into the system, but she's actually talking about Watts, which is really interesting. So I feel like he was probably he was doing all of the hacking from a remote sort of location. Watts could have worked for Ironwood, but I don't think so. It is possible, though.
I mean, he was famous enough that Raven knew who he was, so...
Yeah. Exactly. So, yeah, just little things like that they set up literally 2 volumes before we... Well, 1 volume before we saw the character. Hi, Piskian. Oh, he's sick. That sucks. Yeah, so, anyway, I'm getting off topic here, but...
Did you catch the other thing that was said that Raven said when she was, when she was roasting the 4 of them?
Yes.
That about Cinder's name being so appropriate and stuff, and it made me think back to episode 1 where Leo said that all the files that he had on Emerald, Mercury, and Cinder were faked, and it's like, well, we know that Emerald and Mercury were from the Vale area. But granted, they were like off, they were like off the grid and stuff, so they wouldn't really have records.
No.
And so I'm like, that means that Cinder is either in the same situation or, she does have an actual real name that is somewhere else. And I think that would be really interesting to learn about is like, we know her as Cinder Fall, but like, who was she born as, kind of?
Yeah, I'm feeling like she's kind of a situation where like, she either didn't have a last name or she never knew it, so she just chose one for herself. Because Raven says a full maiden with a name so appropriate, she probably picked it herself, and I'm like, that's interesting. Yeah, because I've always like wondered about what significance Cinder's surname has, being that she was after the Four Maidens' power. And like I think we've tossed up in the past about perhaps her being a descendant of one of the Four Maidens or something like that. But yeah, I would be interested to learn more about Cinder's past. Definitely.
I feel like that would make a good like an actual Cinder backstory, because I know like in Volume 3 there was a backstory that for like Emerald and Mercury. But now I kind of want to actually understand Cinder. Like, how does she get roped? Like, I kind of want to know how these villains all got roped under Salem.
Yeah, I'm interested to know that as well. I'm interested,
especially because we've already gotten some past information that like Hazel was somebody that Ozpin knew, and we just got this thing where Watts used to be a famous scientist in Atlas. So like. It would be really interesting to see how did they all get wrapped up in this plot.
Then Tyrion's just crazy.
Tyrion's just insane. Like he's just yeah. I feel like Tyrion though is he's extremely devoted to Salem to a point where it's unhealthy. But
oh yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I would be interested to find out exactly how he found himself in this situation, especially because he's a Faunus, so he should theoretically be against everything they're doing, but he's not. So Tyrion is Glenn Close. Yes, he's most definitely a Glenn Close. He's crazy. Exactly. Yeah, so this scene, there was a lot of talking going on, and I don't remember most of it, I'll be honest. There was just a lot of chit-chat about... So we got, confirmation of the confirmation that Vanal is the Spring Maiden. I did find that bit interesting in the way that the clouds were animated. I found really interesting and realistic. But during the score, the... Maiden theme played here. I previously called it the Fall Maiden theme, but now I'm going to call it the Maiden theme because she's the Spring Maiden. But which the last time we heard that was during Cinder versus Pyrrha. And we haven't heard it since because obviously we haven't really, there hasn't been a lot to do with the Maidens since then. Only Cinder. Spiskian said Tyrion probably has a floating avocado telling him to follow Salem in his thoughts. What the hell does that mean? Floating avocado?
Yeah. Oh, he is crazy, so I could see that. He is crazy.
But why an avocado? All things.
Why not an avocado?
Why not?
I guess so. Okay, that just totally derailed my train of thought. I have absolutely no idea what I was talking about now. This is why having the chat open is dangerous. What the hell was I on about? Oh, the Spring Maiden.
You're talking about the Maiden.
Yeah. So, we know that Vanal was quite young when she became the Spring Maiden, and it's been 10 years since she took off. So she's in her early to mid-20s to possibly, like, I'm going to say at most 27. But she's always looked quite young to me. I'm not sure if it's, like, the boyish haircut or, you know, like, something about her. She's quite short as well. But, yeah, she just...
Maybe that might be another person I might cosplay one day.
Yeah. Just grab all the short people.
I know. I think it also just has to do with the product of the people around her, where she's got, you know, this older lady, and then all the other people look really, like, rugged and stuff. And I don't think necessarily any of the bandits look particularly young.
It's the face. Yeah, her face makes her look quite young. I'm interested to know why she chooses to shave her head. I just think it's a strange thing to do. But, yeah, I don't know about Vanal. Like, I'm gonna say at the most she's 27, but I'm gonna say she's more like 24. I feel like she must have been quite young when she inherited the Spring Maiden's power. Hearing Leo talk about her. Speaking of Leo, where the hell is he? We haven't seen him for ages.
Cowering in the closet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, he hasn't been since chapter 2.
The thing I found surprising is how willingly Cinder gave up the information. Just, oh, don't worry, Leo's with us. Hair flip. Like,
yeah,
like,
she's a dumbass, Cinder. Like,
that should not have revealed that information.
No, definitely should not have. Yeah, Cinder is just way too overconfident, and it was her undoing before with Ruby, and it will probably be her undoing again. She just thinks, oh, you know, I'm the best, you know, hair flip, like you said. I'm just the best, you know. And, like, you would think she would be a little more humbled after losing an eye to a little girl. Like, you would think after the experience she's just been through, it would make her a bit more cautious. But no, apparently she does not learn from her mistakes, so...
I think it was because the growth in power probably raised her up. It's just like, I know what happened to me, but now I'm extremely powerful. It's like, and I can turn it around because I have all this power.
Yeah.
I can show everyone just how powerful I actually am now that I actually know what I'm doing.
One thing I think to say about Cinder is, did anyone else find the, like, fiery effect on her eye a bit weird?
At first, but I thought it kind of suited sort of how...
Yeah,
I mean, in Volume 3, it looked too, you know, solid flame, and I kind of like how it looks more magic and kind of dusty, sort of. I guess,
it kind of took me by surprise, because the last time we saw it, it was extremely different, but, she's a demigod now. She's not a demigod. She's far from it. But, you know, she did kick Pyrrha's ass, but, you know, Pyrrha, she put up
Pyrrha
a
was a
decent
first-year combat school student.
For a first-year Beacon Academy student, she put up a decent fight. Yeah, so Yeah, Cinder is very arrogant. That's a good word for it. Ironically, seriously,
Such
I'm
arrogance.
going to stop reading the chat for a second.
That's perfect, actually.
Yeah, so I've lost my train of thought again.
Cinder. Something about Cinder in the scene.
Cinder. So I actually was surprised to see her still in her new outfit, because I for some reason I was thinking she might ditch that when she goes out, but because it just, for me, it's just a little strange. It seems like it's a little because it's quite long, and the sleeve on her left arm, literally you can't see her hand. I feel like
makes me wonder if actually something happened to her when she lost her eye, that happened to her, like that hand too.
Yeah, to that arm. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. But it seems a little impractical to me what she's wearing. Especially if she like wants to go and be in the thick of the action. I'm like, good luck fighting in that dress, bitch. Like, seriously.
Yeah, I know.
She's a demigod, so she'll find a way.
All someone's got to do is just grab onto her big sleeve, and that's it.
They're not gonna think that. I think, and she knows that too.
Yeah, I think she's very much aware of that. So the fact she's missing an eye is really jarring to you, Piskian. Yeah, I'm not sure what's with the black thing on her face, to be honest. I'm thinking it's like covering scarring is most likely what's going on with that.
It was sort of like a overly dramatic eye patch.
Yeah, exactly. But her hair has always been over that eye, so I don't even really notice it. Because we rarely ever saw that eye to begin with. So I'm like, nah. It's just basically the same, except now she's got this huge black massive face patch that but it still kind of hides behind her hair. I
honestly didn't even know she had that until I actually like looked her up on Google. I didn't know she had a mask until I Googled it. It's like, wait, I don't see it. I think this was the first episode I actually kind of saw that she was wearing a mask. Like, before I thought her hair was just covering it.
Yeah, a lot of times it just looks like a shadow under her hair, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I rewatched Wonder Woman recently, and she kind of reminds me of that evil female Nazi scientist with the plastic stuff on her mouth. Yeah. I'm like, God, it reminds me of Cinder.
Like
she's half the Phantom of the Opera, exactly. Yeah, so it reminds me of Chinatown with the nose patch getting bit. I haven't seen that. So yeah, she's just so arrogant in this scene. She's just giving away all of this information to Raven, and I'm like, you don't know where Raven's loyalties lie. You're just giving her all of this like vital information about your big bad plans. I'm like, that's not very fucking smart. Like, what are you doing?
The thing is that we really don't know what side she's on. Like, we don't know. And
we don't know. Exactly.
With her being dragged into all this, because, like she said, I didn't want to choose a side, but she has to pick a side because she harbored a maiden, because she's so involved. What does Cinder do if she chooses the other side?
Exactly. I'm like, if the audience doesn't know what the fuck Raven's up to, why the hell is Cinder being so nonchalant about giving her all of this really important information about their plans? I'm like, okay, that was really stupid.
Probably because she's so confident that Raven will take her side.
Yeah, she's just...
And also, it is on such short notice that, like she said, it's 2 days until this happens. Like, what can she do in 2 days that, these people have been planning for months?
Exactly.
Like...
I mean, she could do plenty in 2 days.
She could do plenty.
But, yeah, she mentions that it's 2 days away. But then, with some more conversation, she suggests that it's probably a better idea to wait until the White Fang assaults Haven before they try for the relic. So we have a little more than 2 days now. Not exactly how much more, but They seem to be moving the timeline along very quickly, because this was
they said that it was
out a minute ago.
Well, it was 2 months out in Blake's storyline, and then it was a month out in but they said that the Hazel and Adam arrived with the White Fang to destroy Haven in 2 days. So they do have, because they just wanted to go right then and there and get the relic and get out. What Watts was hoping for.
Now, that sort of reminds me of something I had always been wondering. I think how Raven actually asked if Raven actually Raven asked if Salem actually had gotten her hands on the relic, and because the whole Silver Eye thing, it makes me actually question whether Cinder actually did get the fall relic or not.
Well, based on the scene in Volume 4, Salem said that the relic is still there. She was talking to somebody through one of the seers.
Yeah.
That the relic was still there. They hadn't found it yet. Because I guess Cinder hadn't been able to open up the vault before Ruby silver-eyed her.
I feel like because Cinder was too, I think, busy gonna be all big with her new powers, and then Pyrrha came to go try and defeat her, which even though she knew she wasn't gonna win, and then Ruby saw the whole thing and then went all Silver Eye on her.
Yeah, it kind of derailed her plans of grabbing the relic, I assume. So I'm under the impression that no, they don't have the relic of choice. Is it choice?
I think so.
Yeah, they don't have.
I think it was choice.
So, and obviously they have people in Beacon searching for it, still. So, but I feel like the relic isn't there. I feel like Crow has the relic, because he was the next person to go up there to grab Ruby, and if Cinder didn't get the relic...
Remember, they need a Fall Maiden to open the vault.
Oh, right, he can't open the vault. That's right, yeah, no.
Yeah, so it's probably still in its vault. It's just the vault is... Hidden somewhere that...
Part of me wants to
they can't find.
Yeah, Spring's relic is knowledge, but Fall's relic is choice. Yeah.
Part of me wants to actually believe that relic is actually hidden in Ozpin's cane still. I know that's really stupid.
Jumbat literally just said that in the chat.
Believe it's there. So maybe even if they did try and go to the vault, the relic wouldn't be there.
I feel like Ozpin's he's not an idiot. He wasn't just gonna hide it in Beacon Tower. Like, I'm not that stupid.
I don't. Sam just said, I think the vault is hidden in Ozpin's office somewhere. Ozpin's office was at the top of the tower that got destroyed by the dragon, so I don't think it's there.
No, that's where Cinder went looking for it, but I don't think it's there. Yeah, I think it's actually elsewhere within Beacon. Yeah, so Cinder got very similar scars to Amber after she caused them. Yeah, it's an interesting parallel there. Yeah, it's very ironic. But clearly Cinder doesn't understand irony because she's making the same mistakes that she made before. So, yeah, I mean, like, there's this whole, like, they don't have the relic of choice, but obviously they have people looking for it. So they're moving on to knowledge and Spring. So, my question is, you know, they're saying that they just need the Spring Maiden to get to the Relic of Knowledge, but I'm like, what's their plan after that? As far as the Spring Maiden is concerned, because it would be in their best interest to have the Spring Maiden on their side, but that's not going to happen. So, would they try to kill the Spring Maiden, or, like, and then try and track down whoever the power goes to, or is it possible for one person to have two maidens' power? I don't think it is, but
because I agree, when Vernal was showing her power, Cinder looked like like everyone else was like, whoa, but Cinder was like almost gawking at her, like.
Yeah.
Maybe she wants to be all of the maidens at once.
I feel like she does covet. She definitely covets power, and the maidens is about as powerful as it gets. well, they can't choose who the power transfers to. And Vanal's last thought
Unless they did a glove
thing
again.
Vanal's last thought's not going to be of Emerald, of all people. So, yeah, like...
But if they do the glove thing...
if they do the glove thing, that's a possibility, yeah. So, I'll be interested to see how all of that plays out, but at least Raven's smart enough to know, like, yeah, they're not just going to let us go once they have the relic, you know, we're fucked. But I feel like Raven's plan of, like, oh, we'll go right under their noses and grab the relic and make our escape. I'm like, that is a dumb plan. What are you going to do? Like, even if you succeed, what then?
They're just going to be hunting you.
They'll just be hunting them for the rest of their days, and eventually they will be found. You know, they can't hide from Salem forever. Obviously. So, I'm like...
Couldn't
Raven,
Watts or Hazel take the power?
Stupid plan. You must know it's not going to work.
I just saw the Jumbat say, couldn't Watts or Hazel take the power? No, because they're not female. They're not young. They're not young ladies.
To women. Yeah.
Unless one of them got a sex change, then maybe. But I don't think that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Because we did have, like, last episode. I know I'm going back, and this is episode 9, but we did have our first sort of queer character introduced. We don't necessarily know if anyone's trans or not.
We don't know how far it extends in the universe. Yeah. I
mean, I doubt that Watts or Hazel are that, but still, just throwing it out there because I'm kind of crazy sometimes.
Yeah. So, my biggest question now is it possible for Cinder to have both the Fallen Spring Maiden's power, and is that her endgame? Is my question. I guess we'll find out over the course of the volume, but I'm like, Raven and Cinder both are being so stupid about this whole thing. It's frustrating me. I'm like, Raven, what is your thinking? Like, she's like, oh, we'll grab the relic for ourselves. I'm like, okay, even if you manage to do that, what then? So,
yeah.
I'm like,
I mean, the safer option, honestly, if she wanted to keep the relic out of Salem's hands, would honestly be to just get Vernal away. Like, I mean, literally, portal to Ty and send Vernal through. Like, get her as far from Haven Academy as possible.
I wonder if the relics could be destroyed.
And
if they were destroyed, would that throw out the balance of the universe or some shit? Like, are they... Because I know they're gifts from the gods, and they're physical objects, but are those physical objects bound to some kind of higher sort of force? Like,
what if those relics sort of could possibly function like the Maiden's functions, and once a relic gets destroyed, basically the power of that relic would be transferred to another object.
It might be, or like if. Say, for instance, if the Relic of Knowledge was destroyed, would that make everybody in the world suddenly stupid? Like, I don't understand, like, how the relics exactly, how their physical forms are bound to knowledge.
Who's to say they aren't already stupid with the choices like that Raven's making?
Clearly, the relic isn't helping y'all. Yeah, exactly. You're still making bad decisions. So yeah, I'm just curious to know more about the relics, and especially why Salem needs them and why they're so important. What happens if Salem gets still 4? Yeah, so...
Well, I mean, they basically said that all 4, she could reshape reality.
She could basically...
Wasn't that what they said?
Yeah, she would basically become God if she got all 4, I think is basically what they said.
Yeah.
So...
Now I think part of me also kind of, now I'm thinking about it, kind of wants to know Salem's origins. She probably has some sort of relation with the God of Darkness. I don't know, maybe the God of Darkness is a kid, or maybe just like a devout follower or a lover or something. Who knows?
I'm so distracted because Laurelei just picked up her dog. He's so cute. Look at that face.
No.
He's sleepy.
Yeah.
This is the only thing I have cute.
Neo. Yeah, so...
She is... Neo is bae. Please come back, Neo. I want you back.
I know everybody wants her back, and people are like... I've seen on Tumblr after every episode, and in the comments on roosterteeth.com, every episode, oh, I think Neo's coming back this chapter. I'm like, no, she's not. Neo is so beyond irrelevant at the moment. I feel like the only place she could possibly show up in the volume is in the post-credits.
Neo's not coming back because they haven't asked me to voice her yet.
Yeah, so...
They do know I want to. I have told them that.
I want Velvet, Gildart says. I want Velvet too. But Velvet's in Vale, so it's probably not going to happen. Yeah, Neo...
I don't think they've... Have they confirmed that she's definitely 100% coming back, or that they're
they
like...
haven't in so
we're
many...
thinking about
They
this.
haven't in so many words, but they have more or less said that she will be back eventually, but beyond that, they've said nothing. So, but I'm like, the only place she could show up in Volume 5 is the post-credits. I feel like if she shows up at all, it will probably be next volume, and it won't be right away. Yeah, I don't think she's at all going to be involved in the fall of Haven. She's totally off the grid at the moment.
You know who it really makes sense for them to bring back? The rest of Team Sun.
Yes.
Hopefully we will see them soon. Yeah. I'm feeling like it's getting to the point now where the fall of Haven is imminent, and they're going to reintroduce Scarlet and Sage and Neptune at some point quite soon, because it would make sense. And like Crow and Rui and Junior and company need all the help they can get, and they know at least one team from Haven Academy. So, you know, since Crow can't find any of his huntsman pals because they're all either dead or missing, I feel like it would make sense for them to turn to the students, especially since none of the students are at Haven right now, and school is not in session. So
I think part of me also, I keep interrupting you, I'm sorry.
That's
part
right.
of me also believes that the fall of Haven's not going to happen in this volume, because I feel like I'm not sure exactly how many volumes they were planning on having, whether it was going to be like 10 or 12, but
14.
I feel like they're going to make it
how many
trilogy.
volumes? They said at least 9, but likely more. Yeah.
Yeah, Monty planned like
20.
12 to 15 more volumes.
Yeah. He said he's got up to 20 planned, but that they would definitely do 9 is the number that they originally said. Hi, Murder of Birds. He just popped in the chat. I'm just reading the chat going nuts now because Arnold's here. Yeah, so definitely 9 volumes, but beyond that, I feel like, you know, Rooster Teeth have a history of, like, we will make the show as long as people still watch it. But Ruby is like, I feel like they'll keep making it as long as it keeps its integrity. I feel like they're not gonna it's not gonna be like an RVB situation where it just goes on forever and never ends. Because they can get away with that with Red versus Blue. But,
it kind of makes sense that they might not necessarily get away with that with Ruby. What was that?
I'm sorry. Murder of Birds just said in the chat that Kerry just teased the return of Sun Wukong's gunchucks this volume.
Yes!
Yes!
I'm gonna open Twitter right now. Just get Cory, take over. I've got to go see this. I got to find this post.
Now I'm looking at this, but
everyone's running to Twitter.
I'm saying that Ruby may not actually last forever, and I can understand that. I know this is horrible for me to say, but also because I think they started talking about Genlock, which they're going to come out with, which I think is basically the same type of style as Ruby.
Yeah.
And that may or may not eventually take over. Who knows? I don't necessarily want to because, oh my god, I freaking love Ruby so much. It's kind of what helped. What brought me here.
Drop the Twitter post link in the chat there for you guys who want to see it.
Yes.
He put people hoping to see gunchucks this volume got me like, and then the gif of that black dude whose name I don't know doing the shoulder thing.
It's Shaq.
Who?
It's Shaq.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh, Shaquille O'Neal. we don't call him Shaq. We call him Shaquille O'Neal. So every time someone's like, "That's Shaq," I'm like, "Who the fuck is Shaq?" What kind of a name is Shaq?
I see it now.
Yeah. So, fuck you, Kerry Shawcross, first of all, and thank you so much.
First of all, we hate you. Second of all, we love you.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's going to be a chapter 10 thing, hopefully, fingers crossed, maybe. Please give us back gunchucks! We've been waiting so long. We've been waiting so long for gunchucks!
They are the coolest weapon in the show, in my opinion.
It has literally been since the Roman fight in Volume 1 that we've seen the gunchucks. They have not come out because Sun's character model broke, and they couldn't animate the gunchucks. But now with using Maya, and they've had to rebuild all the character models and all of that, and all of the animations done through Maya now. The gunchucks are coming back. I'm so excited. I can't wait for gunchucks. That's just totally derailed this podcast. Now we're all like, thank you for dropping in and dropping that bomb on us, Arnold.
No, just Sam just said Sun's model broke. Just the gunchucks like staff part broke.
Yeah, just
they
the
couldn't
gunchucks,
get it to function again.
They basically couldn't get the model out of staff mode, and a similar thing happened with Pyrrha's weapon, I know, as well. They couldn't get Pyrrha's spear into rifle mode either. So a couple of the weapon models broke at some point during the first 3 volumes, and then by the time we got to Fall of Beacon, Sun couldn't have gunchucks and Pyrrha couldn't have a rifle. So Pyrrha's rifle was working in Volume 2, but it wasn't working in Volume 3. Mm-hmm. And Sun's gunchucks haven't worked since Volume 1. I assume that animation just broke the gunchucks. This is so awesome. Okay, we've just broken the weapon.
Damn you animation.
Yeah, Arnold says Monty created the animation before Ruby ever existed. Yeah, that the gunchuck animation in the Roman fight is actually he created some time before Volume 1. The Ruby didn't know how they rigged them. Yeah, so they must have figured it out, and yeah, so I'm so happy the gunchucks are coming back. I love the gunchucks so much. They're just so awesome. Okay, Gilda, don't start up with the Pyrrha stuff, but what the hell were we talking before that happened?
I don't remember.
I don't remember, to be perfectly honest. Yes, it was definitely worth mentioning. Thank you, Arnold. He said sorry to derail, but it was worth mentioning. Yeah, so...
Does chat know what we were talking about before this?
Chat, do you have any idea what we were saying before we started fangirling over the gunchucks? Because we don't have a clue. Let me try. We were talking about Team Sun. That's right. We were talking about Team Sun's reappearance. Yeah. So I feel like they're definitely gonna come back into the picture soon. If they don't, I'll actually be surprised. Let's put it that way.
I feel like they could also bring back Team Auburn too.
Yes,
because they're from Haven.
They are from Haven as well.
I don't know if you know, but I love Team Auburn. Reese.
Yeah, so Team Auburn is also
Reese
a possibility.
was one of the coolest to come out of Volume 3.
Yeah. Team Auburn is also a possibility. I feel like it would be a good idea for them to utilize teams that were introduced during the tournament, because that was all we saw of them. I don't think... Did any of Team Auburn even have... They didn't even have any lines, did they?
Not really.
No, I don't think they actually did.
Just efforts. That was all they really had, but no speaking lines whatsoever.
I think one of the guys made a quip at Weiss during the fight, but that was about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one guy went over here or something.
Who's got yours? Yeah, that was
the only line. I think it's just like, I think someone would... Or someone made a comment like, got your back, and then like he made a quip like, who's got yours?
Yeah, Bolin had a line but wasn't credited. Yeah, so if they brought Team Auburn back, they would obviously have to give them voice actors, but I don't think that's a problem for Rooster Teeth.
Really not.
Reese, the mighty power of peanut butter cups. Yeah, so Team Auburn would be cool to see them back, but definitely the rest of Team Sun. Especially if Sun and Blake, after everything that's going down right now, are headed to Mistral. It would be good to have Sun back with his team as well as Blake back with hers. Because they kind of obviously been doing their own thing for the last volume and volume and a half, yeah.
Yeah, and actually, now I'm just remembering. I think like on the RTX podcast this past year, I asked everyone who their favorite character to voice was, and Gavin, who voices Scarlet, said just like he liked voicing himself in Let's Plays. I was like, and then I went backstage and started listing all the characters he actually voiced, and told him, "Come on, be serious." So it's just like, now I kind of want to just like, I want to see Scarlet back just so I can sort of joke and Gavin was like, ha, here you are, voice acting again, come on. Scarlet's is like, I don't care what you say, Scarlet's your favorite now.
Because I'm pretty sure that originally they were thinking about having Gavin voice Junior, is that right? And
yeah, but they liked him too much.
Yeah, Jack voiced Junior, but I think originally they were considering Gavin to voice Junior, but then they decided on Jack because Monty said he had a character for a later volume that he wanted Gavin to voice, which was Scarlet. So, yeah, I would like to see... The thing is, whenever I hear Gavin in something, it's the same as, like, when I hear Ryan in something. I hear Gavin. I don't, like... He just sounds like Gavin, and I can't get past it. Whereas, like, with Michael voicing Sun Wukong, the first time I heard Sun's voice, I didn't realize it was Michael. Because he has the ability to sort of change his voice up. But Ryan and Gavin don't seem to really have that ability. They just sound like themselves. I
think when I first heard Sun, I keep interrupting you and I'm a horrible person, but when I first heard Sun, I immediately knew it was Michael. And that was when I was first getting into the Rooster Teeth fandom. But I think that's because I was also partially an Achievement Hunter. I was just like, that's Michael! Ha! Michael's in this now!
Well, I had been watching Achievement Hunter for years before Ruby came out. But when I first heard Sun's voice, I was like, oh, that sounds really familiar. Who is that? But then when I got to the credits, I was like, oh, it's Michael! Of course it is. You know, I can hear it now that I know. But yeah, he has done some actual anime voice acting, so he's got some professional VA experience. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, but like when Sun talks, I don't hear Michael, I hear Sun. But when, say, Professor Port says anything, I hear Ryan's voice coming out of Professor Port's body. I'm like, I can't not hear Ryan. I wonder if Ryan's gonna voice Junior when he returns. Junior's not coming back. He was, hey, yeah. Wait, yeah, Junior's totally, utterly irrelevant now. Team same voice. Yeah, so, but, what the fuck was I on about? Oh, we were talking about Team Sun, I keep forgetting. Yeah, so, I am hoping for Team Sun to come back soon.
Yeah, it makes too much sense for that they would come back. Yeah. But we talked about this last time with Imperial Dawn, that it kind of feels like the time that they could have used to introduce them back into the show has passed with everything that happened. Like that whole Crow sequence felt like that should have been where they would have like reintroduced people like, you know, Winter or the rest of Team Sun. And now it kind of feels like that's passed, especially because we now know the timeline is 2 days until the fall of Haven. Yeah,
the timelines get, and like we have 4 chapters left after chapter 10, so I feel like the fall of Haven is definitely going to occur by the end of the volume. Whether it's not going to be the same as what the fall of Beacon was, obviously, but it's going to be interesting. It's gonna be an interesting sort of situation of power plays. Gildart says, where the fuck is Port and everybody else at Beacon? Why don't they come help? They got their own problems, trust me.
Yeah, they have Veil to protect.
Yeah.
The whole thing not introducing more characters like they could have been doing, especially if they're building up to an event like the Fall of Beacon with the Fall of Haven. It's just like everything else in this volume. Like, this volume's been really good, and I've loved it almost as much as I love volume 3, except for it. There's just like so much wasted potential that they had that they haven't grasped yet, and it depresses me.
I feel like the biggest thing with this volume is that every time I've made a prediction, they've done something I completely didn't expect them to do. So I've stopped just trying to guess what's going to happen. I'm like, I'm just going to let this volume do its own thing because I have no idea what's going to happen here. I feel like the Fall of Haven will definitely be a very interesting event, and it's going to be a lot of power plays and all that sort of stuff. But I wanted to talk about, so Raven is saying that she wants Crow dead. Immediately I was like, I was kind of, because the way she talked about it, she was like, my brother knows I have the Spring Maiden, and he's going to be a problem. I'm like, okay, one, he was already a problem. Two, he has known you've had the Spring Maiden for some time, but he's not an idiot. He's not going to charge in there and just demand that you hand her over. And 3, he might be your only hope at keeping Vanal alive, so, you know, and keeping the relic out of Salem's hands, because she seemed so concerned with whether Salem had the relic of choice or not. She doesn't want those relics to fall into Salem's hands. So it would make sense for her to seek Crow's help in this matter, because they want the same thing. So I found it interesting that at the end of the scene, you know, Raven turns into a bird and flies through a portal, and then we see Crow. So I feel like now she is going to go to Crow. Well, she could do one of two things. She could go to Crow and be like, heads up, or she could just be spying on him to see what his next move is going to be.
So if she's spying on him, she's doing an awful job, because he totally noticed her out the window.
Oh yeah, so. He totally saw her.
He always knows.
Yeah.
He always knows she's there. Like, every time she's nearby, Crow's like, and there's Raven, and there's Raven.
even in the Crow versus Winter fight in Volume 3, Raven was kind of circling overhead. At least I'm pretty sure it was Raven. But and Crow's like, and there's Raven. Just sticking up for the bird. Your Crow peeps are gonna show up and light your tail feathers on fire. Good lord. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know if she was bullshitting, if she actually wants her brother dead, if like, oh my god, she's just so confusing as far as her motives are concerned. I'm like, you say one thing but you do another, and then you say something else. I'm like, so what? It's just so confusing. Yeah, I don't know what's about to happen. Anyway, we need to talk about the Belladonnas, because we've been on Raven and everyone for some time. So...
Well, I mean, before we get onto that, because there was that short scene, Ozpin wants to talk to Crow.
Oh, right, yeah, of course, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was expecting to see that scene, because I figured they were going to plan their assault on Raven's camp, but now I'm like, they don't have enough time to, is the problem.
Yeah.
Because if they go after the camp, like, are they just going to go to the camp and see it's empty and then come back and Haven is being attacked, or like, what's happening? Like, they've run out of time. So I'm so confused about what's happening there. Especially now that Ozpin wants to talk to Crow.
And like, Crow was supposed to be looking for Huntsman, so what has he done all of this time? Because one minute they said they've got a month. Next minute they're saying they have 2 days. I'm like, what the hell happened in all that time? It's like 28 days of time.
Abuse, maybe.
It's 4 weeks. Have you just been sitting on your ass? Like, they still don't have any help. I mean, Yang and Weiss showed up, but aside from that, they're totally and utterly on their own. So I'm like, I'm just really confused about the timeline in this volume. But anyway, Ozpin wants to talk to Crow, so I'm wondering what that's going to be about and whether we're going to see it in chapter 10. But yeah, the belladonnas. So this part, I was really expecting this to be the conclusion to what was going on here. But by the time we spent 10 minutes in the freaking bandit camp, I was like, there's not enough time left to wrap this up. So... Corsic and Finnick... okay, I want to say something about this bit that really, 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 really bothers me. And it's that Blake drops in and sort of freezes them in place with her shadow clone, and then they all just stand there talking. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, it's a classic anime thing, but it bothers the hell out of me. Instead of actually like doing what they're talking about doing, they're talking about it. I'm like, just do it. Like, she's like, once we take down Corsic and Finnick, I'm like, they're standing right there totally defenseless. You could have killed them already. They could be dead.
Yeah.
Fucking kill them. Oh, no, there she goes. Alright, she's running out of the room. Okay.
Do something.
Do something! Stop talking about it and do it! It's so frustrating.
Especially because you could see them melting her clone. It was like...
I'm like, really? She's like, oh, we'll do this, and like, oh, but she's like, oh, but where's Mum? And then Gira's like, no, just get out of here, you know, we'll handle this, and I'm just like, you could have killed them 30 seconds ago. If you had just stopped and shut up for 5 seconds, they would already be dead. They're utterly defenseless. Like, because, you know, their
anime,
weapons...
no one thinks practically.
Their weapons were in the ice. They had no way of defending themselves. And it was 3 against 2. Come on! I'm like, so frustrating. William says, you are not anime, you follow plot. It's just so... It annoyed me so much while I was watching it. I was like... just kill them, for God's sake. But no, we've got to have this wind up to this big confrontation, you know.
Which we've been having this wind up since the end of last volume.
Yeah.
All they've done is talk about it.
I know.
Every single
And like, I feel like the way they set this up was poor, because Blake drops down and immediately, like, essentially incapacitates them, and then they just stand there. And I'm like, really?
She could have knocked them out right then, but no.
Ugh, honestly.
They're not going to think practical. They're not going to think practical, because they're just
So
going to try and
annoying.
ignore it and just go off to the big confrontation between Ellie and Blake.
Yeah. So, but then she takes off and she goes looking for her mom, and I don't know what's happened to Carly, but of course Ilya's there, and then they set up for this Blake versus Ilya, which we've known is going to happen all volume. It's in the intro, for Christ's sake. And then cut to black, and I'm like, are you absolutely shitting down my spine right now? Like, seriously. We have to wait another week to get the conclusion to this goddamn storyline.
This better be like the most epic fight yet in all of RWBY for how long they've been building this up.
It better be.
Yeah.
I swear. And like, we've had so little fighting this volume, which I've been okay with because everything else has been excellent. But this chapter, I'm like, we got action, but it was not good action. And then all of the other stuff was just so frustrating and so drawn out. I'm like, nothing happened in this chapter, and it's so frustrating. And like, just I know that they're building up to something huge for chapter 10, especially because it's the last chapter before the Christmas break, so we'll have a 2-week wait after this chapter. And I'm like, they're gonna go out with a massive bang, but this chapter was so unnecessary. I feel like they timed it all wrong, and they've paced it all wrong to make it feel like, yeah, chapter 10 has got to be like, I wouldn't say 20 minutes, but I would say probably more like 18.
It's got to be on the longer end.
It's got to be on the longer end, surely.
Especially because there's a week break after it.
Because not only now do they have to kill Gira and wrap all of that up, but they have to do a Blake versus
I don't want
Ilya.
to kill Gira. I don't want that.
Well,
I
I'm
don't
still
want that.
sticking to my guns that they're going to kill Gira.
He's the
It makes
last
the
one.
most sense, story-wise.
Yeah, it would. But I was like, doesn't mean I have to want it. I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna be disappointed if they do it, but they're probably gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they'll kill
I'm worried
Carly
about Carly at this point.
I don't think they're
I
gonna kill
too.
Carly because that the fandom will not have that. They will riot if they kill Carly. I feel like either they're gonna kill Gira, they're gonna kill Sun, or they're gonna kill Gira and Carly. It's not gonna be just Carly.
Yeah.
Yeah. The last 4 chapters. Yeah, I think we have to see chapter 10 before we're gonna know where the last 4 chapters are headed. But Wade said chapter 8 and 9 could have been one episode. They absolutely could have.
I said that earlier.
If they had made the content in each chapter, like if they had made the scenes shorter, that could have been one like 18-minute episode easily. But instead they chopped it up into 2, and I'm like, why? Even chapter 8 was really good. It had a lot of good substance to it. But chapter 9 was a nothing chapter.
Or if the other thing they could have done is if they had just done what I thought they were going to do is ended chapter 8 at Blake trying to call her mom. If they stopped that there and then put the rest of those scenes plus everything that was from there on in chapter 9, I feel like that still would have been a better paced episode.
It would have been better, yeah. It would have made chapter 8 quite short, but chapter 8 was already really good, so it wouldn't have mattered if it was short. But instead they then had a short chapter 9 that was just like, what? But because they spent 10 minutes in the bandit camp, I can't get over how long they spent in the conversation. I'm like, it's so long. Even when I'm watching something for the first time, in RWBY, when it comes to like even chapter 8 of volume 4, when I watched it for the first time, it was long, but it was interesting because it was excuse me, information that we hadn't had yet. I'm starting to lose my voice. It was information we hadn't had yet, so it was all relevant and it all needed to be done. But the chapter 9 bandit camp bit just dragged, and I was like, at some point y'all need to stop talking about this because things have actually got to start happening here. And then like with that long talking scene, I was like, okay, we're gonna get the big actiony thing now, and then it was just disappointing. Yeah,
just
exactly.
want them to do something.
Please just do something, for God's sake. Yeah.
I wanted something more to happen, especially with the whole Belladonna's scene. Although I will say that I didn't actually hate talking in the bandit camp because of my extreme bias towards loving Raven and everything she does, despite her being kind of a bad person. I have because I do have the extreme bias towards, oh my god, I freaking love Raven. It's just like, you're probably kind of evil, but I love you anyway. I love you so much.
She's like a fascinating character and everything, but they cut away from like the big action that they were building up in the next episode for a 10-minute bitch off. And
I just that was my issue too. Because I liked the scene with the bandit camp. It's just they put it in the worst possible place in this volume.
Absolutely.
Yeah, true.
It's in a bad spot and it's too long. It needed to be 2 minutes shorter than that.
Yes.
Now I'm just remembering like this joke I was seeing on Tumblr. It's just like, Cinder's powers may be to like fire, but the one who was doing the real burning here was Raven.
Yeah. You can definitely see where Yang gets it from. Hashtag 10-minute bitch off. Gildart's put in the chat. That's what it was though. Like, it was just so unnecessary. I understand it was a necessary conversation for those characters to have, but the length was what was unnecessary. Even some of the exchange of words and like Cinder being like, "Oh, Lionheart's on our side now, lol," and I'm like, seriously. And then Raven said some stupid shit and Cinder said some stupid shit, and I'm like, and not only that, but they had that 10-minute thing, then they had a bit of Belladonna's, then they went back to the freaking bandit camp. I'm like, why are we still here? Honest to God, like they cut away from it, and I'm like, oh, thank God that's finally over. And then they went back for this irrelevant little Raven and Vanille scene. I'm like, why are we here? I need to see Belladonna's right now. I couldn't give less of a shit what's going on in this scene. I was too stressed.
They didn't really need the second scene.
No,
necessary.
They did not need that in there at all.
Because Like,
once again, they just should have put that somewhere else.
Raven had something else going on, so they did not need that additional scene to say, "Hey, Raven's got something else going on." Like,
yeah, we're not stupid. Like, we can figure that out on our own. But that scene could have gone in chapter 10, I feel like, and it should have gone in chapter 10. It did not need to be here, and not only did it break up the already broken up action of what was going on that we'd been waiting an entire week for, that also didn't pay off, but it felt like bad suspense. Like, they were trying to build suspense, but it was not working. It was not building suspense. It was frustrating is what it was. It was frustrating because they were drawing away from the thing that was most important going on in the story at that moment to show us this very unnecessary scene. And
you and I talked about this last week, where, like, we think that the way that they dealt with the cliffhanger between episodes 6 and 7 of volume 4 was good, because, like, it ended on a cliffhanger, and then the next episode started not in that bit, but then it finished off that cliffhanger at the end of the episode
with a fucking awesome fight between Crow and Tyrion, and, like, that's what this chapter should have been, and it wasn't. It was the opposite of that. I get really adamant about it because this chapter is so frustrating to me, because I had to sit through it and I had to wait a week to watch it, and I had to be disappointed, and I want everyone else to know how disappointed I was. But yeah, you know, don't get me started. It's too late for that. But yeah, just the way that they arranged the scenes in this chapter. I felt even that extra Raven and Vanal bit could have been left on the end of the 10-minute long talkie. Like, and it could have been a lot shorter. Like, we could have seen Cinder and company walking out of the camp, and then having, like, Vanal saying to Raven, "You don't think they're actually going to let us go?" "Of course not." And then Raven flying off to Crow. That could have been the end of that. And, like, instead, we went to the Belladonnas. We had a kind of okay scene, but still frustrating because they didn't just freaking kill Corsic and Finnick. Some banter between Gira and Sun, which was nice. But then we went back to the stupid bandit camp that we just, at this point, we're so kind of stressed. Like, I don't know how you guys felt watching this episode, but I was so stressed about what was going on with, like, I was like, where is Carly? What's about to happen to Gira and Sun? Like, oh my god, where is Ilya? I was so stressed, and I'm like, why are we back in the bandit camp? And then that extra bandit camp scene was also too long. And
I feel like it was only there to just, the only thing I could see the reason for that was setting up that Vernal is sneaky, and, like, for her sneaking away maybe during whatever happens at the fall of Haven to go get the relic. But even then, I find it hard to believe that they're going to ever let Raven or Vernal out of their sight, even in the middle of a fight. Like,
I also feel like, you know, Raven says, "Did they spot you?" And Vernal's like, "Of course not." I'm like, do you really think they're that stupid? I'm pretty sure they spotted you. I'm pretty sure they knew that you were following them, at the very least. Yeah. This whole chapter is so frustrating. I did notice, I do want to mention one thing, that at the very end of the chapter, when Ilya appears, the score was Smile. Which is the new sort of Blake song for this volume that we haven't actually heard in its full yet. It was at the very end of the Blake character short. That was the score for that bit, which I thought was interesting. But all in all, this chapter just, I mean, I've said it plenty of times, disappointing. But I'm just hoping that all of this suspense is building up to the most incredible fight scenes we've ever seen in our lives, because if it doesn't, I'm going to be like, why did I wait 2 weeks for that? Like, seriously. But in chapter 10, we're obviously getting some Gira and Sun versus Albane twins, and some Blake and versus Ilya. And then the conclusion to, like, chapter 10 just needs to be all Belladonnas. It's not going to be.
To be the end of the Belladonna.
Yeah.
So,
and I think we're also going to get the whatever Crow and Ozpin conversation. I think we'll get that too, but I think it will be like 85% belladonnas.
I mean, that's what we said about Chapter 9, and that didn't fucking happen, did it? It was
that is exactly what I said about Chapter 9.
Bandit Camp! Which
Deep breaths.
I'm fine. But, yeah, exactly. Gildat says, if we don't see a fantastic fight scene, I will chew up thumbtacks and shit pennies. Okay, TMI, but, Well, I'm expecting Oscar to be in Chapter 10 because I'm expecting to see that, Osborn wants to talk to you thing. Yeah, so there'll probably be that in there, but aside from that, I want to see nothing but belladonnas. And I need to see Blake versus Ilya, and I need Gira and Sun, but I need the Albane twins to fucking die already.
Yeah.
If they don't die, I will be annoyed. Or if at least, I'll be happy if one of them at least dies. But if neither of them die, I'll be like, you missed your opportunity last chapter, bitch. When they were frozen in ice and you chose not to kill them, instead you chose to stand around like they do in every single they do this in Attack on Titan a lot, and it infuriates me. Like, there's, 20 Titans coming after you, and you're having an internal monologue about, just... It's so annoying. I hate that anime does that. But, yeah, I know, and Salem hasn't been in it since Chapter 2, and Lionheart hasn't been in it since Chapter 2. We don't know what's going on with the villains. Tyrion still hasn't been in the volume. I'm just like, what is going on? I'm
so upset that we didn't get the talk between Salem and Tyrion.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
That would have
they set that up, but then it didn't come to anything. I was
It's
like,
too
okay,
late now.
So next chapter we'll see that, and then Chapter 3 rolled around, I'm like, okay, maybe Chapter 4. Chapter 4 rolled around, I was like, are we gonna get this? And then by the time we got to Chapter 5, I was like, okay, that didn't amount to anything. So, yeah. Team Fox News must die. Oh, God. Yeah, and that's a good point as well. We were kind of tossing up the idea of Pyrrha's family popping up in this volume, since that we know that they lived in Mistral. But there's just not enough time for doing something like that, unless they're going to remain in Mistral for Volume 6, which is
I feel like they will, though.
I feel like it's probably the most likely thing at this point, is that they'll still be in Mistral in the beginning of Volume 6. Yeah.
Which relic do you guys think is going to be next?
I feel like Vacuo would make the most sense next. So, and that's Destruction, that one.
Yeah.
I feel like Atlas is next, though, because they were at the beginning of the volume, they were setting up a war between Mistral and Atlas.
It's true, yeah.
Plus, then there's also the parallels of ending.
I thought Atlas was Destruction.
No, Winter's Creation, and Winter is Atlas, and Summer is Destruction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, plus, I don't know. My memory sucks.
Yeah.
Plus, I also think that ending in Vacuo makes sense because it draws parallels to the Great War ending in Vacuo.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it'll go that way.
You've got a good point there, and
the Great War 2. That beginning in Vacuo.
Yeah, that's true.
Did it be?
Yeah, probably Atlas. Yeah, so the thing about that is Atlas is already on high alert. They've already closed their borders. They've already recalled all of their troops. So after the fall of Haven, I feel like Ironwood is going to be a very dangerous element, because I feel like his fear is going to drive him to do very silly things.
He's very volatile right now.
It's going to make him very vulnerable. So Atlas probably actually would be the most logical next target. And Vacuo is just Vacuo. So
maybe we could finally see fucking Winter.
Yes, I know, because they had her in the Wise character short, and we were like, yay, Winter this volume, and then nothing.
They're like, oh nope, she left. She's back in Atlas.
Oh yeah, by the way, she left. She's in Atlas, and Weiss is like, Weiss has the same reaction we all have. Like, what? Yeah, just they set up for winter in this volume, and there's been no winter, and I'm sad that there's no winter because I like winter.
Mm-hmm.
I love winter.
When they actually do go to Atlas, I want them to actually, I want someone to actually, like, kick the SheNoob, like, all the men of the SheNoob family's ass. Like, fucking destroy them. Like, literally destroy them.
Yes.
Like, end them.
Jacques
Please,
and
oh my God,
need to
like,
go.
Like, Weiss is my favorite character. She deserves so much better than this. Please, just, I don't care how you do it. Like, get rid of them. Get rid of them.
Yeah. I want Whitley to get eaten by a Grimm. Because he's
fighting great. That'd be glorious.
Roman style, just out of here.
Yeah.
It's like someone bitch slap Jacques, please. Actually, no. Have Weiss's mom bitch slap him and just like actually like call it's like no, it's my family name. You married into it. You're not actually part of this family. Get lost. We'll have someone else. Because I know like when Crow was telling us he said there would be like a new SheNoob that would actually take up and probably set things right, and then he had Weiss's silhouette. Weiss is, I still feel like Weiss is gonna end up inheriting the company.
Yeah.
Because Whitley's gonna be, they're gonna get rid of Whitley, because Whitley's fucking useless. Permanently.
Get rid of Shitley, get him off the board.
Oh my God, yes, please. It's like, I wanted to like him, but then he started being, like, a complete shitlord, and it reminds me of like the people in high school who are like so, like who literally who were too stupid to form their own opinions, and they literally just vomited out everything that their parents said and never really came up with their own ideas. And I'm just like, that's the most idiotic thing. It reminds me of all my bullies in high school. And it's just like, can someone please just bash your head in with a baseball bat? Because I'd like to do that.
I compared him back at the time when we first met him in Chapter 2. I compared him to Draco Malfoy. I immediately got Draco Malfoy vibes from him, and so far that has stuck true.
Yeah, true.
I do feel sorry for him in a way because, like, you know, this is all he's ever known. Like, at least Weiss and Winter had the chance to get away from their parents, but he didn't. But still, I don't think he wants. He could be a nicer.
He doesn't want to get away though.
No, I feel like he
doesn't want to learn.
He's a chip off the old Jacques block, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is his father's son in every sense of the word. But I feel like Weiss and Winter probably more favor their mother.
Yeah. I wonder if it also has more to do with that they did spend, you know, like they have spent more of their life with their mom knowing her as not a drunk, whereas Whitley has probably known her more as a drunk. So, like, of the two parents, he sees the dad is the better influence, kind of.
He's had more influence from his dad,
at this
probably,
point.
Yeah. So Weiss talks about last chapter. She says when she was 10, was when her dad finally told her mum that he only married her for the family name, and then after that, her mum, what's the word? Regressed into alcoholism. So, but Weiss had 10 years knowing her mum as just her mum before all of that happened. And then Winter even more. So we don't know how much older Winter is than Weiss, but I feel like it's probably around 5 years. And then Whitley is 4 years younger than Weiss. So
do we know he's actually 14?
I think so. I don't have 100% confirmation on that. But he's around 14, 15, I think. Yeah, so obviously Whitley was younger when all of that stuff with their mum happened. No, Whitley's not 16. He's not mature enough for 16. He's so lanky. He really reminds me of...
He's about the same size as Oscar, and Oscar's confirmed to be 14,
Oscar's 14. Oscar's a cute little button, though.
You want some horror? I found fan art of Whitley and Oscar.
I remember I saw that back in the day. When they were both first introduced. Yeah. Before he was Shitley, but it was still just like, no.
This fandom is weird. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I want the Jacques and Whitley. When I say the Schnees, I mean them, to be taken down. But I feel like that is a hurdle that Weiss has to overcome. I want her to be the one to take them down and be like, actually, this is my company now, bitch. Yeah, he strikes me as a bitchy little brat that's the favorite of the parents. Yeah, well, exactly. Well, parent. Yeah, so...
No, I
sounds like they don't really have a mom at this point, basically.
Not really, no. Which is pretty sad. I feel really bad for Weiss's mum. But at the same time, I'm kind of pissed off at her for just leaving her children to fend for themselves with Jacques, knowing how shit of a person he is.
I know. I wish she rebelled.
Been stronger and literally just kicked him out.
So and he had too much. He had too much power at that point, though.
I feel like she was in a shitty situation, but she could have at least done more for her children. I think.
Yeah, she couldn't have taken her company back, but she could have protected the next generation as best she could have. Like. She could have been like, I can't do anything for Jacques, but one of these three is inheriting the company, and I'm going to make sure they're a good goddamn person.
Not only that, but like Winter and Weiss both have been emotionally and physically abused by their father. So for their mother to leave them to that, probably knowing full well that it's going on, it's a pretty shitty thing for her to do as a mother, I feel like. Regardless of how she was feeling about, being married to a man that obviously never loved her, and he just married her to inherit, her company and her name. Yeah, that sucks, but, like, you've got children. You have a responsibility as a mother to those children.
But I can still imagine that if he's abusing his children, that usually means he's also abusing his spouse.
Most likely.
So I can just imagine that maybe she was just holding on. She was just like, your typical abused spouse, and she was still holding on to hope that, yes, he still loves me. He's just a little aggressive or blah, blah, blah. And when she finally got the confirmation, no, he doesn't. He only married you for the company, blah, blah, blah. He doesn't love you at all. I can see why that might have kind of broken her, especially if he was abusing her too. But still, I think she should have done more to protect her children.
She should have done more to protect her children, is the bottom line.
I feel like she should have forced Whitley to go to, like, whatever the Atlas equivalent of Signal was.
Yeah. So, that whole situation is pretty crap. And, we heard Weiss talk a bit about her family life in Chapter 8, and, how eventually her mother just left the picture altogether, essentially. And the only mention we had of her before that was that Whitley said she's already drinking in the garden. So, yeah, it's pretty sad, but at the same time, I'm like, it's a mother's responsibility to protect and nurture her children, as much as it is a father's responsibility. But obviously, Jacques was not cut out for that job, so but like, it's a tricky situation, and it's nobody's place to judge, but I feel like she should have done more, and there was more that she could have done, and because she did nothing, Weiss and Winter went through a lot of abuse from their father. So
especially, I just feel like even if, like, the least she could have done is just tried to be there for her kids. Yeah. Because, like, what we know of Weiss is Weiss always felt alone. And so that was the thing where it's like, if she'd still had her mom to cling on to in some way, that could have helped Weiss, I think, immensely. But also, Weiss is now the person she is today because of her experiences. So,
exactly. And Piskian says Winter had to be her surrogate mother, which I feel like is a lot to do with Winter's kind of tough love attitude toward Weiss, is that essentially she had, once their mother fell off the grid, she would have had to take over as the sort of matriarch of the family. And I feel like Winter, being the kind of person that she is, would have resented that. And, you know, the first chance she got, she joined the military and was like, I don't want your freaking company. Give it to Weiss. I'm gonna go join the military and do my own thing and take orders from somebody else for a change. Weiss and Winter have a lot in common in that they both have that kind of rebellious nature because of the situation they were brought up in. Whereas Shitley thrives on the sort of nurturing that he got from Jacques. It's not that Weiss wants nothing to do with the company. Weiss wants to take over the company because she wants to change the company. Because she knows her father is doing terrible things with the company and she wants to change that. And I don't think that want has gone away for her. I think she still wants the company. Because she wants to change it for the better. Even though it's been kind of ripped out of her hands, she's not going to sit down and take that. But there are more important things to worry about right now, like the imminent fall of Haven. So, yeah.
She's going to get it back eventually.
Eventually.
Yeah.
She will come out on top of that situation eventually. Yeah. Because she's Weiss, goddammit.
Weiss is bae.
Weiss is absolute bae. Okay, I think that we've pretty much covered everything in the chapter there. I don't see what more we could possibly drag this out about, but
yeah.
All I can say is that hopefully chapter 10 will be the payoff we are all waiting for. And then after that we have the following weekend there is no Ruby because it is the Christmas break weekend. Because Christmas is on the Monday. But we do have
I know,
a Christmas...
I always know that Christmas is... what day of the week Christmas is going to be, because Christmas is always on the same day of the week as my birthday.
We do have a Christmas chibi episode coming out that week, instead of Ruby Proper. So Ruby Proper resumes on the 30th of December.
Yes.
So 23rd there's no episode. 30th there will be chapter 11 on 30th. It's the 31st for me, but it's the 30th for you guys. And then after that we're not entirely sure if there's gonna be any more breaks, but I don't think so. I think it's a straight shot to the end of the volume from there. So if that's the case, then the volume will be wrapping up on January 20th. Which means that they're definitely not showing the finale at RTX Sydney. But we talked about this before. I don't remember what week it was, but they're probably
I think it was chapter 7.
Yeah, they're probably going to show us something to do with Genlock at RTX Sydney in place of the Ruby finale. Chapter 10 this weekend. No chapter the weekend after. Chapter 11 on the 30th of December to wrap up the year.
Also, this just reminded me of something completely random and selfish. I signed up to try and be a guardian at RTX Austin again this year. Wish me luck for getting that job again. Because I wasn't the best guardian last year, but I'm going to try to do it better this time now that I actually know what I'm doing.
You've had some experience with it, yeah.
Yeah. Don't they typically like return guardians though, because they're less to teach them?
I think they do. Plus, I also happen to be friends with the lead guardian on the Rooster Teeth website, so maybe.
All right. Well, good luck with that. So RTX Sydney is on the. I need to look it up.
Isn't it the 3rd?
3rd and 4th of February, which is the 2nd and 3rd of February for you guys. But it's on the 3rd and 4th of February. And Larissa and I are going together VIP this year, and we're going to Sydney for 5 days, and we're doing a meetup event while we're there, which we will be posting videos about soonish, once we know kind of what's going on with the... We don't know anything yet. They don't tell us anything. But yeah, so that'll be happening, and yeah, I'm assuming they're going to show us something to do with Genlock, as opposed to the Ruby finale. If the finale does indeed fall on the 20th of January. I'll keep you guys updated on Twitter as to the release schedule for Ruby. Wonder if they'll show pre-renders for Ruby panel. I'm thinking footage, actually, is what they might be showing of Genlock. Because it's supposed to be starting next year. So, it's not that far out. I am excited for it, actually. It's something different for Rooster Teeth. So it could be really interesting. I've never ever watched a mecha show in my life. So it could be the first and only one that I watch, but we'll see what happens with that. Yeah, so anyway, we'll wrap this podcast up. Hannah, Laurelei, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me back.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. It was a lot of fun.
And please make sure you check out Laurelei's YouTube channel, which I will leave a link to in the description, and follow her on Twitter and follow Hannah on Twitter. Hannah's always posting stuff on her Twitter.
I'm mostly retweeting now because the Rooster podcast normally nowadays that it falls during my dinner time, so I can't really watch it live anymore.
Oh, bugger. they changed the airtime, didn't they?
They did. I told Bernie I can't really watch it live anymore, and I was sad about it.
So my reaction to Chapter 9 is going up on Sunday. I want to say something about my Chapter 8 reaction. I had a few comments saying that, like, oh, you didn't react to this and you didn't react to that. I didn't react to the Ilya thing because I wasn't surprised. And if anyone's been paying attention to the show, they shouldn't have been surprised either. The reason I didn't react is because I was expecting it. It did not surprise me at all. So that's why I didn't react. Also, I was spending that entire episode being incredibly stressed watching it, which is why I didn't say a whole lot. And it's a similar sort of situation with Chapter 9, except I was more stressed. So I was stressed watching Chapter 9. There were a few things that I had something to say about, especially after the chapter ended. But, if I sit there and I'm staring at the screen like this the whole time, I'm either listening to what they're saying or I'm stressed out. Because I'm I know death is imminent for somebody. Yeah, Amitola means rainbow, so, like, there's your hint right there. Ilya is LGBT. Ilya Rainbow is literally her name. So, that's, like, just to full disclosure, my Chapter 9 reaction isn't that good.
But chapters like 9 though are hard to react to.
Yeah,
it's because with really exposition heavy episodes, you just have to sit there and you're just like, okay, okay, and so there's really, like, there's not a lot to react to.
No.
Yeah.
Also, I'm just wondering, and this is me being selfish again because when am I not selfish? Have I actually told anyone what my bias is towards loving Raven? On this podcast.
Anna Hullum, isn't it?
Yeah, and how she's friends with she's friends with a relative of mine and a relative I'm fairly close with. And I guess I could tell him about the key if I haven't already told him about it already.
I think you did last volume, but go ahead because we've got lots of new viewers now. So.
Okay, so I have a key of strength, a key necklace that says strength, and that was given to me by Anna Hullum. I think because she's really good friends with my cousin.
Yeah. Anna Hullum, for those who don't know, is the wife of Matt Hullum, one of the founding fathers of Rooster Teeth, and she also voices Raven. So, and Ashley Jenkins used to voice Raven, didn't she?
No, I don't think she ever did.
Yeah, she did. In the post-credit scene of Volume 2.
No, that was still Anna.
No, I still that was Anna, because Ashley Jenkins, she voiced Coco.
Yeah.
Adele.
Oh, that's right. Who am I thinking of then? I'm going to look it up 1 second. But I know I'm pretty sure she had a different voice actress for that scene than the one she's got now.
No, it was Anna Hullum. She just sounded different.
Yeah. Oh, it was Anna, yeah. She did sound really different. I suppose she's just evolved the voice over time as you know, as voice actors do. But, yeah, so, the Icebreakers from now on will be going up on YouTube as well because VidMe has unfortunately closed, the site, so that's unfortunate. But all the Icebreakers, I've uploaded all of the previous ones to my channel. I just didn't like notify subscribers because I don't want to clog up your feeds. I'll also be uploading all of my previous Twitch streams to YouTube as well with the closing of VidMe. But the Icebreakers will from now on be uploaded alongside the Boopcasts, probably before the Boopcasts, as a matter of fact. So yeah, they'll all be on my YouTube, and make sure you check out Laurelei and you follow Hannah on Twitter because they're awesome. Yeah, and thank you guys so much for watching the podcast, and we will see you next week. There will be one next week. There won't be one the week after. Okay. Yeah. Bye.
See ya.
See ya.